This is extremely creepy if you've never seen it before, and frankly, even if you have. In a moment, this is going to start cycling through a bunch of unaltered celebrity photos, but you're going to keep your eyes focused right here in the very middle on this cross. Again, this only works if you keep your eyes focused on the middle at the cross. And what will happen is you will start to see strange distortions on these faces in your peripheral vision. They will start to look monstrous, or they will look like cartoonish caricatures with features that are exaggerated, with big eyes or big jaws or big mouths. Some of you think this is a trick and that these images are distorted, but if you go back and watch it again, you will see they are only distorted in your peripheral vision. If you stop and look at the individual images, they're normal. That is called the flashed face distortion effect, and we actually don't know how it works. The video was made by Tangent Cognitive Labs and it went viral a long time ago. Obviously it has something to do with the fact that your peripheral vision is imperfect and your brain is trying to fill in details. And they've done follow-up experiments showing that it doesn't just work with faces. But as for why the brain processes these faces as cartoonish and distorted versus just making them blurry, to this day nobody's really sure.
Wisdom comes from experience, and experience takes time. The more experience you have, the more you learn from that experience, the wiser you can get. A pine tree grows and matures very fast. An oak tree grows and matures very, very slow. But which one lasts longer? And which one is stronger? Which one shelters more critters and more birds? Which one, when it's done and over and it's cut down, which one is more valuable for the lumber? People don't go out and say, I'm going to spend extra money for some pine furniture. They want oak furniture.
The strangest places in the world, part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise. Next is the Petrifying Well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
You can burn yourself with water, but you can't get wet with fire. Random facts you need to know. One of the worst pains is loving someone and knowing that you will never be together. Where does a memory go when we simply forget it? So far, only 1% of people know the answer to the last one. People who start drinking before the age of 15 become alcoholics. To find out what you worked with in your past life, comment, "In my past life I worked with," and let the corrector complete. The brain is shrinking due to global warming. Lying on the floor on your back is the best way to try to survive a fall from an elevator. Before I tell you the last one, leave a like for more videos like this. When my father was 31, I was 8. Now he is twice my age. How old am I?
Nobody is coming to save you. Get up. Be your own hero. Don't blame the distractions. Improve your focus. Don't overshare. Privacy is power. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Move in silence. Only speak when it's time to say, checkmate.
Has the UK got a finance curse?
Is it a trick question? Because the UK doesn't have finance. The City of London has, and it's not part of the UK.
Good answer. Good answer. It's international, he's right.
The City of London is outside the United Kingdom. Do you know that? It's really shocking. And therefore, it's also not part of the EU. Although it couldn't be part of the EU because you have to have democratic elections, and the City of London doesn't, right? It's the banks that have the votes, right?
Right.
Per staff, you know,
I
the
never knew
How
that.
do you start unpicking this puzzle?
I never knew. That's a very useful piece of
And
information.
of course, and it's not part of the UK because the Queen is not allowed to enter without permission. She's not the sovereign, therefore it's not part of the UK. You know, and of course that's since 1688,
I have to make a note of
since
that.
the foreign invasion.
My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. I heard somebody describe it this way. I really, really liked it. But like, knowledge is facts. Knowledge is knowing facts. Wisdom takes it further and is having facts, having information, but knowing how to apply them. But then there's even something bigger, something better than that, that is godly wisdom. And godly wisdom is when you have wisdom, you have facts, and you know how to apply those things over a lifetime with how God designed you and designed the universe.
Popular female TikToker with hundreds of thousands of followers just dropped a bomb on modern day feminism and is getting nothing but love.
I'm good. I don't need any more rights. So if you're gonna advocate, do it for yourself. Because your girl is good, okay?
I think I'll pass. Okay.
I can do all things that my husband can do. Some of them I don't want to do. I don't want to do. That's a boy job. That's a girl job. Please keep the rest of us out of it. We don't need a woman president. Oh yeah, I said what I said. That is a man's job. We are too emotional. We might be able to find out what they did on July 25th, 2006. We might be able to find out who they dated in 3rd grade, but we are too emotional. We'll be, when somebody pisses us off and then wake up in the morning and go, that was probably not a good idea.
Three creepy facts about the human body. Part 2. The last one will shock you. As strange as it sounds, only 10% of the cells in your body are actually human. The other 90% is made up of 100 trillion microbes. That's actually essential for your health and well-being. Second, you are hairier than gorillas. The average person has around 5 million hair follicles covering their body, a whole 3 times more than the standard gorilla. And lastly, it is possible to vomit poo. The condition occurs when the bowel is obstructed for some reason, and the intestines push the waste back up. This rare condition is called fecal vomiting. Subscribe for more.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. Sharks are older than the rings of Saturn by hundreds of millions of years. If you were given $10,000 every single day since the pyramids were built, you would only have about 6% of Elon Musk's entire wealth. To give a clear picture of the difference between a million and a million seconds ago was a little over a week ago. A billion seconds ago was the year 1990. Jimmy Carter was the first president to be born in a hospital. Obama was the first president born under the same American flag he served as president under. Harriet Tubman was born in Thomas Jefferson's lifetime and died in Reagan's. There were Greek playwrights who wrote shows nearly 2,000 years before Shakespeare was even alive. Follow for more.
Which of these 100% facts is the hardest to believe? In 2010, a black Nigerian couple living in London gave birth to a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby who became known as the Miracle Baby. In 2015, a Colombian farmer discovered $600 million in cash while digging up his land. He handed it all to the police. Thomas Jefferson never had a reliable source of income and died $107,000 in debt, which is roughly $2 million today. Woodpeckers slam their beaks into wood about 8,000 to 12,000 times a day. George Carlin once said, "Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups." There are over 2,000 recognized languages spoken in Africa. Africa is the most language-rich continent on the planet. Dolphins have bromances in which 2 males may pair up for as long as 15 years and help each other hook up with females. For more,
Facts about humans that will blow your mind. 8 to 10% of people in the world have blue eyes. Scientists believe that all blue-eyed people can be traced back to a common ancestor who had a genetic mutation. Only 2% of humans have green eyes, and the rarest hair-eye color combination is red hair with blue eyes. Only about 0.17% of people have this combo. When you breathe, you tend to favor one nostril over the other, never breathing out of both equally. You produce about 1.5 quarts of mucus each day and swallow the vast majority of it. Your heart is the only muscle that never gets tired. If you live to 70 years old, your heart will have beat around 2.5 billion times. You pee enough every month to fill a bathtub. Your body consists of so much fat that it can make up to 7 bars of soap. Your heart can sometimes sync to the rhythm when you listen to music. Your cornea, the transparent front part of the eyes, doesn't get any blood supply and receives oxygen directly from the air. If you were to flatten out all its wrinkles, your brain would appear as flat as a pillowcase.
This is the longest river on Earth, the Nile. And this is the main reason why Egypt is the second richest country in Africa, after Nigeria. But there is a problem further upriver that may put Egypt's economy in danger. You see, the Nile as we know it is formed from the Blue Nile and the White Nile. The Blue Nile is the source of 80% of the water of the Nile, and what is extremely concerning for Egypt is that its springs are located in Ethiopia. In the last years, Ethiopia started to create a series of dams on the Blue Nile, which means Ethiopia will be able to control the water flow of the Blue Nile, and implicitly, the water flow which will reach Egypt. A shrinking of the water levels will hit Egypt very hard, as more than 95% of Egypt's population lives along the Nile. This is the reason why a conflict between these two countries may start in the future.
5 surprising things that can hurt your dog's feelings. Number 1, being angry at them. Dogs don't understand anger in the same way we do. Anger doesn't teach your dog to behave. It simply teaches them to be afraid of you. Number 2, taking their food away while they're eating. This will make them want to eat faster, which can cause anxiousness and also potentially have a negative effect on their digestion. Number 3, pushing them away while they're giving you kisses. Imagine how you would feel if someone you loved ignored you when you wanted to show them some affection. Number 4, teasing them. Blowing on their nose or poking them while they're asleep can make your dog feel confused, which can really stress them out. Number 5, ignoring constant ear or paw scratching. These could indicate your pup has food or seasonal sensitivities, or fleas. Not paying attention to your pup's well-being can hurt their feelings as well as impact their long-term physical health. Follow us for more essential dog owner and supplement advice.
American people are living in a matrix. If you ask 100 people on the street, what kind of government is America supposed to be? 99% of them will tell you a democracy. But that's a lie. The word democracy is not written into the Constitution at one time. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's not in the Declaration of Independence. The Founding Fathers hated the idea of a democracy. They thought it was the worst form of government there is, and I agree with them. If you're part of the 49%, you're not free. America was founded as a constitutional republic, but the psychological operations that they do to us, they make us believe that we're a democracy and that majority rules. You have your rights because you were born with them, right? We're not here to put on the earth so that the government can tell us how to live our lives and what we must do. We put into these systems and these paradigms. Nonsense. You know, be individuals, think for yourself, have critical thinking.
Study the past if you would define the future. To sum up the 300 songs in a word, they are free from evil thought. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. He who knows all the answers has not been asked all the questions. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. If you make a mistake and do not correct it, this is called a mistake.
In 2018, this footage of the moon was captured and shared on social media. As the camera zooms in, a large circular object seems to be orbiting the moon, moving slowly and then rotating and traveling behind it.
Some people watching this video theorize that the object near the moon is the planet of Nibiru, which is part of an end-of-the-world prophecy that said Earth and Nibiru would collide in a cataclysmic event, effectively ending the world.
It looks really tiny when we're looking through this viewfinder, but if we were to put this comparatively of how big it would be to the moon, this is huge.
The moon has a circumference of over 6,800 miles, meaning this object would be around 100 miles across.
Can you see this hair? Okay. Can you see this hair compared to the scale that we're talking about right now?
That's the size of the space the particles are moving through. But even a human hair is enormous compared to the particles themselves. Look at a single strand of your hair. Now imagine that single hair is as big across as the entire Earth is wide. Now, zoom in. The size of a single cell inside of that hair would be like the distance from Paris to Rome. Now zoom in again. A protein inside that cell would be like 6 soccer fields across. An atom inside that protein would be like 1 school bus across. The nucleus at the center of that atom would be like the width of a grain of rice. And the protons within that nucleus, they'd be like grains of salt. So a proton compared to the width of your hair is like a grain of salt compared to the entire Earth. And that is what scientists are sending flying around inside of this machine. Protons, which are being squeezed by magnets into a space the width of a hair. It is incredible that we can do this. As humans, we experience only a tiny slice of the full scale of reality. But there's so much more. Wait, but hang on. If they're sending these tiny little protons down a tunnel 27 kilometers long, how do they get them to actually hit each other? Just think about shooting grains of salt at each other from really, really, really far away. Seriously, think about it. How would you do that? If you just thought fire tons of salt, that's exactly what they do. They don't just fire 100 or 1,000 protons at each other. They fire 100 billion in bunches in each direction. And when they do that, 100 billion versus 100 billion, guess how many actually collide?
On average, we get about 50 or 60 collisions per crossing.
You heard that right. 60. 60 will actually collide, which is why they'll do the whole thing over and over and over again. 30 million times per second. There's approximately 3,000 bunches, each with over 100 billion protons, creating 1 billion collisions per second inside of this massive machine. Okay, so we have thousands of scientists spending billions of dollars to smash billions of protons in an underground tunnel. But why? Why do all of this in the first place? Well, if you look on the internet, you'll see that there are a lot of theories. From ending the world to creating black holes to it already ended the world and we're living inside a black hole to paranormal activity to new dimensions to hooded figures performing rituals to summon the devil. That last one was a prank, by the way. No, we are not doing any of that. The truth about what is happening here is both much harder to explain and much, much cooler. So strap in, because it's time to break your brain. When scientists smash these protons together, we get a glimpse at what might have happened close to the start of our universe, the Big Bang. That's because the collisions release an enormous amount of energy for how small protons are. But in the grand scheme of things, each collision is still less than the total energy of a hand clap. But a very smart person figured out that energy and mass are related. So when these protons collide at incredibly fast speeds, releasing a ton of energy, that energy can turn into physical mass.
Okay, Owen. Oh, okay.
The men who have succeeded are men who have chosen one line and stuck to it. The greatest astonishment of my life was the discovery that the man who does the work is not the man who gets rich. The man who acquires the ability to take full possession of his own mind may take possession of anything else to which he is justly entitled. The first man gets the oyster, the second man gets the shell. I believe that the true road to preeminent success in any line is to make yourself master of that line. There is little success where there is little laughter. All human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes. A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert.
60 seconds of interesting geography facts. The country of Monaco is so small that it could fit into Central Park in New York City. Lake Superior contains enough water to cover North and South America in 3/4 foot of water. The Dead Sea, bordering Jordan and Israel, is the lowest point on Earth, with its shores sitting more than 400 meters below sea level. In the Philippines, there's an island called Vulcan Point, that's within a lake, on an island that's within a lake, on an island. Tokyo's population is more than the population of Australia, which is 6th largest country. The two Diomede Islands are just 2.4 kilometers apart, but have 20 hours time difference between them. The Atacama Desert in Chile is considered the driest non-polar desert on Earth, with some areas having no recorded rainfall for decades. These 4 countries constitutes almost 40% of world's population. The country of Iceland is known as the land of fire and ice because it has both glaciers and active volcanoes. If you like these facts, share with friends.
The 15-minute cities is something that the WEF has created called C40, and it's called C40 cities. I would urge you to certainly look on the internet about it. Basically, you won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. You'll have to buy electric. If you want food, you will get a calorie-controlled system sent to you by text saying, this is what you can eat today. This is what you can have today. If you violate any of these things, they'll freeze your bank account. That is the next step. These are stages in which they're going to implement this stuff. And this was signed up by the WEF, and the WEF has signed up with our mayor in London as the chair. And he has gone around the world to communicate this C40 to all of the countries in the world. And most of the countries are looking at adopting it. Now, I am going to abolish it. It is a hopeless position. We are going to be in an open prison, or shall we say a COVID, for the rest of our lives. We will not be able to work unless it's in our 15-minute city. It's diabolical. It's not right. This is not the right thing. And it's been hidden from the public. No one's talking about it.
3 fascinating secrets taken to the grave. Part 1. Number 3. Axel Erlandsson was a Swedish-American farmer who became famous for his sculpted trees, which he named circus trees. Erlandsson never revealed the secrets of his techniques, claiming he spoke to the trees. Even after his death in 1964, the exact method he used to create these incredible shapes remains a mystery. Number 2. Jerome. On September 8, 1863, a fair-skinned stranger believed to be in his 20s was found by 2 fishermen in Sandy Cove, Nova Scotia, with his legs amputated. Unable to speak and only responding to the name Jerome, his identity and past remained a mystery. He lived in the area for decades, but his previous history and the reason for his mutilation are enigmas that have never been unraveled. Number 1. The Unknown. In the fall of 1816 in Alexandria, Virginia, 2 people, a man and his wife, entered Gadsby's Tavern Hotel. The woman was seriously ill, and despite the care she received, she passed away shortly after. The man, devastated by the loss, buried her anonymously and disappeared, leaving behind a mysterious epitaph on her grave. His identity, as well as that of his late wife, remain an unsolved mystery to this day.